The doctor in front of your name.
Okay. And in some of your work, being a person who's, studied trauma and you work with Black women with trauma, I wanted to get into the term of trauma bonding, because that's another one of those buzzwords that we see up and down the TikTok and Instagram streets or what have you. And so based on your knowledge as a psychologist in this area, how would you define trauma bonding? Like, what is it versus what it is not?
What we've looked at with trauma bonding is actually more so like how you have bonded with the person who has abused or traumatized you, versus just like, okay, I am sharing my trauma with somebody, and then maybe we relate on certain things too. And so I think like people are maybe getting a little bit mixed up there, where it's like, oh, like maybe the only reason why we're relating is because of this trauma, and so now we're trauma bonded. And I think the word bond, I'm always careful in using that word, because I think about like Gorilla Glue, right? When we're thinking like bonded, we're stuck together. There's nothing that's going to tear us apart. And it's not necessarily that. It's more so that I'm actually seeking some type of intimacy with someone who understands my story. And so then we get connected in that type of way. But there can be a point where you start to go overboard, where it's like, oh, we don't actually have anything else outside of the fact that we both, experience trauma. And so that's where kind of that idea of like, are we trauma bonded? But I would say that I use it more in terms of thinking of like, are there things like that we are more connected to because of the traumas that we've experienced?
Yeah. So, okay. So it's a lot deeper than just connecting with somebody just because y'all went through something. It's like outside of the trauma, then what else? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's more so. And it's more of like, once again, goes back to like that intentionality of like, what am I trying to get from this?
Yeah. Okay. So amazing job with defining those things for us, getting the people more aware of ways to use those words and ways not to use those words. Are there any words that I'm missing, Doc? Like anything that you might hear or may have heard in social media streets that, we often misuse? Did we do narcissism
No,
yet?
we didn't do narcissism yet.
Okay.
That's the big one. That's the big one.
Okay, let's dig into that one.
Yeah, narcissism is a huge one that we hear.
Come on.
And there is a difference between like having narcissistic personality disorder, having narcissistic traits, and engaging in narcissistic behavior. What everyone probably doesn't want to know is that we've all probably engaged in a behavior that could objectively be seen as narcissistic, right? This idea of like, I want to get what I want, no matter if it's at the harm of somebody else. And so, but it doesn't mean that I'm like intentionally always trying to hurt you because I'm putting like kind of my desires above yours. But like when we think about narcissism, and there becomes a big debate because people are like, well, you mental health professionals, you're saying that there's only a small population, but I've experienced, and I don't think that we're ever trying to like discredit it at all. And it is true that it's probably underdiagnosed, because most people who would fit criteria for narcissism are not going to probably come to therapy because they don't see it as an issue for them, because they're still gaining what they would like. But it's thinking of like, I want these type of accolades. I want everything for myself, no matter if it is at the expense of somebody else.
Yes. Okay. So what I'm hearing is like, we can all have traits of narcissism.
I think we all have an ego, right? Like we all have things that we desire, the things that we want. But what allows us to like not tip over is like having compassion or having an idea of like, how does my behavior impact somebody else?
Yes.
And that's what people who have narcissism, they don't really care
have
about.
it. Yeah.
The doctor in front of your name.